in brightest day, in blackest night. All other podcasts tremble in fright. Losers cower before the power. Oranges lust and blues you can trust. Indigos feel and white ones heal. Yellow scare and green ones dare. That sapphire love and black hands glove will rock your foundation without hesitation. Chad and Mars face evil's might. Respect their power, for they'll make you see the light.
Hi, everybody. I'm Chad Bokelman.
I'm Mark Marble.
And this is the LanternCast.
Episode 481.
Back at it again.
Lucky
Woo-hoo.
us.
No, we've had a couple of solo ventures, you and I, between the last time you and I recorded, huh?
That is true.
I bought a bundle on Vudu. If I've seen the first Top Gun, it's been a long time since I've seen it. So I got a bundle with both of them, and I'll be watching it over the weekend. And then I'll be able to listen to your mini app. I know it's a non-spoiler, but still.
No, yeah, I get it. It makes sense at the end of the day. Just like some people will probably, and I will steer people towards this. Some people will probably be more willing to go listen to the Obi-Wan preview episode once the show is actually over with.
And then I had a couple of YouTube videos post. I know you've got one in the can that you've been working on, right? Actually,
I have I have one that's sitting out there forever, but I have one that I made, I think it was yesterday. It'll be short because it won't be as fancy as your card opening ones. And I even preference that in the recording, but I had my pile of loot, very small pile of loot, arrive, which had the Eye of Agamotto along with Zombie Funko cap. So I recorded that I think it's almost like an even 3 minutes. So I'm actually going to try probably by the end of this week as we're recording this. I'll probably try to upload that actually first before this episode even begins to get edited, just because it shouldn't take me long to do. And it's way overdue. And that probably will spur me on, yes, to do the other pile of loot one, just because at least there's a little drama there. With the blind bag stuff for Lilo and Stitch, at least there were actually blind bag openings, so you didn't know what you were going to get.
Yeah, pile of loot. I think I still have my my Yellow Lantern Wonder Woman in my pile of loot, waiting for one of my other things to come. And I obviously ordered the McFarlane figures too. So. And
my too bad it was probably a week and a half too late for me, but my dead multi-armed Doctor Strange Funko just hit my pile of loot today.
But over on YouTube, LanternCast Vids is our channel. I posted 2 videos. It was the unboxing some Pokemon cards, the Celebrations line, as well as Evolving Skies. I actually recorded the bulk of that video back in October, and a little bit of procrastination, as I usually do with those videos. There's really no need to post them almost immediately after unboxing, but I just hate video editing. But in that time, I learned more about Pokemon cards. So when I went back and watched that video, I was like, oh God, this is cringe. But I managed to salvage it. So which is really great incentive for you guys to go watch it, right? I managed to salvage this thing. Please go spend 40 minutes watching this video.
Chad Bokelman, it could be worse.
But the thing is, after I did that, because that was my first foray, the bulk of that video was my first foray into buying Pokemon cards. And in the time since I recorded that, I started collecting the entirety of the Celebrations and Evolving Skies line. And so I just showed made the video out to be where we were, now where we are. And then I also posted, I was able to get my hands on 5 sealed packs of the 2005 Upper Deck Green Lantern Corps DC Versus system. And because it's only 5 packs, it's a short video, so it's 20 minutes. So go check that out if you guys have a chance. And of course, I released the Denny O'Neil, Remembering Denny O'Neil special ep, which is released on the 2-year anniversary of his passing.
Yes, we've been busy, just not busy together.
That's right. We were on a break. Oh my God. But yeah, we're here to talk about the stuff that's been happening with Green Lantern in the meantime. There's so much to catch up on, right? So much content.
That's right. So that means we start with Jurassic World. No, well, I was going to kid around and say, well, what do we want to do? Do we want to do the fun stuff first? And then I started thinking about what we're talking about. I don't know what would fit. It's in the eye of the beholder if there's any fun stuff, or what would actually be fun versus what's not fun of the two things we're going to be talking about. I think it's completely in the eye of the beholder which one's more fun than the other. So it's really up to you if you want to bite the bullet and do our big picture Dark Crisis talk. I guess we can do that first.
Yeah, let's do Dark Crisis, because the only thing we're going to talk about in any detail is the Hal stuff, right? So and just for the people at home, we've already talked about the Death of the Justice League issue. That is Justice League 75. I forget what episode number that is, but it's relatively recently. Go find it in the feed. In the time since then, the Free Comic Book Day preview issue came out. I guess it was Dark Crisis 0 is what that technically is. Then there was a special issue, the Justice League Road to Dark Crisis. And now Dark Crisis #1 hit, last week?
I believe so.
Yes. 476
is the episode of the Death of the Justice League. Too bad it wasn't 475 to match 75, but...
So, yes, there's going to be... Actually, for the people at home, I'm going to get Dark Crisis. I'm going to get the event. So, if we want to catch up at any point, we can do that. Or I can just... Whether we do a full review of something or Mark just goes... a quick small segment. Hey, Chad, what's been happening in Dark Crisis? I can tell you guys in the future. I'll be getting that event. But yeah, in the meantime, we can talk big picture. There is a couple of well, first of all, there's involvement from Hal in Dark Crisis 1. The Justice League Road to Dark Crisis issue has a bunch of segmented stories, and just like it says Road to Dark Crisis, that sort of lead up to where we are with issue 1. One of those stories is a Hal Jordan centric story, and this is as close as we'll probably get to a recap of anything. It's Hal out in space in 2814. He's not far away, and he's chasing down this purplish alien thing, and it heads down towards Earth, and he's trying to make it not crash into the water. So as he gets close, he calls for backup on Earth, trying to reach the Justice League. Nobody's responding. It crashes into the ocean, and because it hit water, the thing that Hal didn't want to happen starts happening, and it metamorphosizes and basically starts splitting itself off into a swarm of different creatures. Because Aquaman is dead, Jackson answers the call. And this is Jackson from Young Justice is probably the most popular. Jackson, who we met for the first time in Brightest Day, shows up to help him with it. He uses some of his aquakinesis and stuff like that to help him out, to get everything involved. And it's through this interaction that Hal figures out that the Justice League is dead, but obviously they're, I guess pun intended, bigger fish to fry. So... they deal with it. They deal with the issue. Jackson calms down this creature, and it metamorphosizes back into a singular entity. And Hal flies off telling Jackson, hey, you and all the younger heroes will need to step up now. And I'm going to go figure out what's going on. I actually really like that interaction. I thought that was a cool looking story. The art looked sort of wonky in some places, but fantastic in others. So I gave it a pass, especially given artistic personal preference wise. I haven't really been enjoying a lot of Green Lantern art lately, so I particularly enjoyed this. But overall, we really haven't learned much yet, I would say, Mark. I mean, Justice League is dead. There's a power vacuum. The villains are doing what you would expect the villains to do when they hear the freaking Justice League is dead and start struggling for power and try and get things where they are. And then, of course, then the younger heroes trying to struggle with the idea that their mentors are gone, friends, family are gone, who's going to be the new Justice League, that sort of thing. There's not a whole lot of new ground broken here, right?
No, the reality is we don't really know much more about. I'm trying to phrase this the best way. We really don't know what we're going to have to deal with in order before this crisis, and in quotes, gets resolved and the good guys win. We don't know what exactly the big threats, the physical threats, the actual stuff the heroes are going to have to be dealing with. We really don't have much of an idea, unless you want to take Justice League 75 and just kind of extrapolate that. But no, the reality is these three issues: the Free Comic Book Day, the Road to Dark Crisis, and Dark Crisis 1. Pretty much, you have the majority of it is everybody dealing with the fallout from the Justice League being dead, and you have some characters that a lot of characters who push back on different levels. You obviously have Nightwing, who's kind of been there, done that before, so he's, for different reasons, he's not really willing to step up to the plate to take, like run the Justice League, but he's also not 100% convinced that these guys aren't coming back. You have Damian, probably because Damian's a jerk, who just would refuse to believe under any circumstance that his father is dead. You have some of the young heroes who are willing to step up, because John, the driving force behind this is that John basically feels that it's his duty and he has to step up and try to form a new Justice League. And he gets, he kind of gets rebuffed a lot by a lot of people. You would think, his attempts to get like a Wonder Woman and a Batman kind of fail miserably pretty quickly. And Black Adam has no desire. Black Adam doesn't. It's like, you're not ready to run this league, so I'm out. And Hal, of course, has a different take, because Hal is not, understandably so, I think, isn't buying everything Black Adam is selling. And let's be honest, that recap by Black Adam, he talks about some stuff you wouldn't think that he would necessarily 100% be sure about, considering what he was dealing with at the time. He kind of was speaking in absolutes about some things, but Hal isn't entirely convinced, that they can even trust Black Adam's version of what happened. And like you said, the villains are trying to step into the void. They're being organized to try to step in and take advantage of the lack of Justice League. But the reality is, as far as dealing with the Great Darkness and everything else, you have a little bit with Pariah, probably the most relevant story in, I think that was in the Road to Dark Crisis, when you have the him being haunted by his family, and that's when you have the Great Darkness either convincing him or just simply manipulating, controlling him into building his machine again. And the more interesting thing was just about when Pariah is kind of given the narration, and thing in Dark Crisis 1 about hope, about how hope is so powerful, and he's kind of like laughing at, on one level he's kind of mocking that all the heroes still are so hopeful about everything, but yet he points out that hope is hope is so powerful, and he plans on using that, I guess, to his advantage, or their advantage, as in him in the Great Darkness, which, at least for a moment, made me think, hey, maybe we'll get a Blue Lantern sighting in this event. But probably not. Other than, I guess, confirmation, pseudo confirmation, even though now they've made it official anyway, so what the hell does it matter? That the Justice League, their bodies might be gone, maybe, but the essence of who they are all in these different worlds, like we had kind of speculated, like the Flash was sent to his own world, which we already knew about. All these heroes kind of live in their like almost idealized version because of what's going on with the multiverse and what Pariah in the Great Darkness are trying to accomplish. That basically the Justice League is not completely dead.
Yeah, there's something in Dark Crisis 1 I wanted to read, which you may not like the implications here, but I do see the potential here. It's Pariah clearly talking, I'm assuming, to the Great Darkness. He says, "What? Oh, yes, you're right. A dying world. Parents shot down in an alley. The list of heroes created within darkness is endless. Why can't they see that so much good in their world has come from death?" I'm wondering there if we have potential then to have yet another version of Evil Hal, in terms of, does this signal, because much in the way the Great Darkness took over Darkseid, Necron, all those people we saw in the death of the Justice League, and is presumably taking over, because at one point John Kent and Wally mentioned the fact that they're taking on all these villains, but none of the heavy hitters are there. Where are all the big hitters? So we assume that the Great Darkness must then have taken over other villains besides just the ones we saw in the Death of the Justice League. So I'm wondering there if there's potential here for the Great Darkness to spread to the point where it infects those who are created from darkness. Like it mentions parents shot down an alley. So, various Bat characters, including Nightwing, whose parents were killed. And then we got Hal, whose, of course, father died in a plane crash. So like, what is the potential there for that? And that sentence could just mean anything, but it does concern me a little bit that we might get, good heroes turned dark because they were created in the dark, sort of a thing.
It also gives you some pause because we know that they're kind of hyping this up that whatever issue it is, was it 4? Is that the Hal Jordan on the cover issue? Is it 4?
I don't know about 4, but I know that there's a Green Lantern special that I've seen.
No, not that. It's I think we've seen pictures of it when Hal's flying off to to confront Pariah. I think that's supposed to be the cover of one of it's either 3 or 4, I think. But it concerns me. It concerns me because they're kind of hyping that up and talking about Hal has a role to play, and saying about Hal's being more direct about this because Hal's trying to organize his own little thing. That's why Wally and company are going to go look for Barry, and Hal's going to go basically kind of find out for himself what the hell the deal was with Pariah because he doesn't trust Black Adam. That it just makes you wonder because it's like they say he's got a role to play and everything else, but it just makes, to me, based on the current state of Green Lantern, especially Hal Jordan Green Lantern in this Infinite Frontier era, I should say, that it makes me wonder if they're just setting it up just so we can fail miserably, whether it goes along the lines that you're talking about where he ends up being used as a weapon against everybody else or not. I don't know, but it seems like just to give him a moment on the surface where it's like, hey, Hal has his moment and he's doing Hal-like things, and this is why it doesn't work, and this is why this is not the approach, or we don't kind of subtext we don't need this, this used to work in the old days, but we don't need this anymore, or something along those lines. I am concerned that they may do something along those lines where on the surface trying to maybe not appease Hal fans, but give Hal Jordan logically a moment, because why wouldn't he, considering all the heroes that are gone and he's left? He's really high up on the food chain. That I was like, we'll give him his moment, but it's not going to turn out well. So that's what my concern is.
I can see that. Obviously, we're not going to dig too much into it. Again, the guys, not a whole lot of new ground being broken. There's some stuff that happens. There's some Titan stuff that's interesting, especially as somebody who's been reading the Nightwing series. There's some good Nightwing stuff in here. But in terms of Hal focused stuff, I did like the Uncle Hal that Wally said. I did like the sort of awe that John Kent has for Green Lantern. He's because Hal shows up and he's like, wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And that also carries some weight, especially when your dad is freaking Superman, but Green Lantern shows up, you're like, wow. I mean, that's pretty cool. What did you think of the Jackson story?
I think the resolution was a little too convenient, how everybody was able to figure out what to do. And then all of a sudden, the alien was, oh, thank you. Reminding me similar of that, of the graphic novel with the Alan, Hal, and Kyle with the same alien. What the hell was that? Was that Fear Itself? Is that Fear Itself?
You said Alan, Kyle, and Hal, and you were used the word graphic novel, but I heard novel, and I was thinking the Sleepers series.
No, the graphic novel. Was it Fear? Was it Fear Itself?
I think so.
Yes, but that's what it, in a way, that's what this, that kind of reminded me of that. The way it's like, the alien was so. The aliens were grateful, or the alien was grateful for you helping it. And it's like, okay, but it's just they figured out what to do pretty quick. And then Hal, in a way, I know it was the heat of the moment, but the idea that, the Justice League's dead. It's like, what? It's like, back to work, which also kind of was like Emerald Twilight-y, reminded me of, the transition from Green Lantern 46 into 47, then back to 48. Because even though he's supposed to find out from Jackson that the Justice League is dead, then there's another scene, was it in the I think in issue 1, when Hal just shows up, it's like, where's the Justice League? It's like, well, you kind of know they're already dead. That's not really would be. I don't know if that would be the question to be asking. Like, what happened might be it. So it's almost like it's almost like that. I'm not saying they did it, but you could interpret it as kind of like one hand didn't know what the other hand was doing, trying to show the moment when Hal found out the Justice League was dead, except we already had done that.
Which is exactly something DC does all the time. They forget to tell people what the hell's going on with the event, and then crap like this happens. So,
but the story itself is fun. But other than that, I agree. I did like the interaction between the two of them. That was fine, and I did like Hal's less, his cynical approach to Black Adam, especially, and the typical Hal approach is like, well, let's go find out what's going on. It's like, instead of hearsay, it's like, we can't just take his word for what's going on and what happened. It's like, and especially when Black Adam was a little too, like I said, he was a little too definitive about the fact that, oh, they were able to push the darkness back. And it was like, so you don't have to worry about that, or something to that effect. And it's like, okay, that's a little presumptuous on multiple levels. It's like, but.
Yeah, now that you say that, I was thinking, my thought process was that's just Black Adam being Black Adam, but like, yeah, maybe there is something more sinister to that.
Well, it's not necessarily, I mean, it could be, but it's not even that it's sinister and necessarily. It's just that he's speaking in absolutes about stuff concerning the whole circumstance, that it's literally uncharted territory. So you would think you would not be, and certainly they could wipe out the Justice League, not being so sure that the thing that wiped out the Justice League, you don't really have to worry about. And that's kind of the implication. It's like, well, we really don't have to worry about that because the darkness stopped. It's like, well, it stopped for now, but obviously, the great darkness is still there, and Pariah is still there, and we're going to see that if the issue and the threat to the multiverse and all that stuff is still ongoing.
Yeah, for sure. Otherwise, I mean, I enjoyed it. It's cool to see Hal back. He keeps saying he was on vacation. I don't know what the hell that means.
He was getting some. He was getting some, Chad.
Yeah, for sure. But continuity problems aside, the fact that you see Jessica at one point in here and she's in Green Lantern costume. You see Joe at one point, she's fighting a manhunter. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on continuity wise here.
Neither do they.
Supposedly this is supposed to take place in that sort of nebulous near future. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will.
All right, enough about Dark Crisis, because, I mean, it's a 7-issue series with a bunch of tie-ins, so we're only in the beginning of this thing. I will say one last thing, though. Looking at the cover to Dark Crisis #1, we've got John, we've got Black Adam, we've got Shazam, Nightwing, Wally, Damian, and Yara Flor, Wonder Girl. We've got Hal. We've also got Jessica on the cover. So I'm interested to see what role she plays moving forward, because, I mean, the other ones are clearly set up to be playing a more major role in this, in the issues that we've talked about tonight. But other than in one panel, we haven't yet seen Jessica's involvement here. So why put her on the cover?
Well, I wouldn't read too much into that. You could be right. Maybe we will see her in a more defined role, but it's like everybody else. It's like, let's just remember, we all know if there's going to be one Green Lantern that's going to be featured in this, it's going to be Joe. At the end of the day, it'll be Joe.
But yeah, so you and I both saw a movie, which is not shocking for you, but shocking for me. I saw it relatively quickly.
Yeah, you do that once in a while. It has been known to happen before.
Yeah.
But this makes sense because that's just literally near the top of your list, at least as far as heading into the movie. Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah. So I saw it. By the way, EVX wasn't worth it. For those of you, so I told Mark I was going to go see it. The theater across the highway from me is Evo. There are multiple locations. I don't know if there's an Evo near you folks, but some of them have what's known as their EVX experience, which is a bigger theater, more seats. The screen takes up an entire wall from wall to wall, ceiling to floor. And it's supposed to have the Dolby Atmos sound. I did notice a sound increase, but I was relatively in the middle of the auditorium, and the projection was still projection that you would see at any other theater. So EVX really wasn't worth it. To be fair though, my ticket was only really $2 more, so whatever. Honestly, not worth it. But we're not here to talk about the seats. We're here to talk about Jurassic World Dominion. Go ahead, man. What did you think? Spoilers. By the way, folks.
Yes, I think we should talk about the seats instead. No,
yeah.
Well, heading into this, the reviews were clearly horrible about regarding this movie heading in. So, and I didn't have the anticipation level that you did. I'm not as I've seen. I think it's safe to say I've seen 4 of the previous 5 movies in this. I never saw Fallen Kingdom. I saw the end on HBO at one point. I think I saw the last half an hour. So obviously I knew where things left off as far as what the premise of this movie seemingly was going to be, which we'll talk about. But I don't have the ties to the franchise the way you do. So my expectations were lower even before the reviews started coming out. I will admit I'm surprised it did as much money as it did, considering the expectations. And that I think, considering the reviews were so poor and the fact that I can't imagine word of mouth was good either, but I guess because they marketed it smartly by, in quotes, making it clear like this was just going to be the last chapter, which of course it can be, but there's nothing in this movie which prevents you at all from just making another one anytime you want. So, but they marketed cleverly on that level, and I think that probably helped. And bringing back the original trio, I think that was enough to push this movie about $20 million, give or take, over what the general projections were, which was like in the 120s, 125, 128. I think that's what they thought the movie was going to do, but it did 145-ish. It was, well, it's long. It's longer than it needed to be. And it feels it at some parts in the movie. It definitely takes a while to get going in this movie. The subplot, which we'll talk about, not even the subplot, the main plot, which drives everything in this movie, it's related to the dinosaurs, and that's the best way to put it, because it's not dinosaurs that you're really dealing with for the most part. It's more like you're dealing with Cretaceous locusts. You're dealing with genetically engineered locusts, which are conveniently only eating crops that are not genetically engineered too. But the movie fails on one of the biggest premises, that the things it had working in its favor, which was you were finally going to see how the world was going to be with dinosaurs in the wild, re-released into the wild. What was the world going to be like? And that was the premise and the promise of where the last movie ended, and the marketing for this movie. When the reality was, you get some scenes like that, but the overwhelming majority of the movie is just like all the other Jurassic movies that you have. The bulk of the dinosaurs are all in a contained area, and then something goes wrong, and then so it kind of fails on that level. It's not, there's a lot of questionable motivation at times for some characters, and it just seems it was not exact. It didn't go out with a flourish. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, I messaged you afterwards, and it's a movie without stakes. Having said that, it's not inconsequential, because the movie is about consequence in a lot of ways. It's got no stakes because, and again, I said spoilers, so the kid's not going to die. Owen and I already forgot her name.
Claire.
Owen and Claire aren't going to die. You would expect Ellie and Alan not to die. At one point, I thought, they might actually kill off Ian here, and that could be a good death for him. But when they didn't, for the rest of the movie, you knew he wasn't going to die. The new kid could have died, the one that helps Ian, but you only got to know him this movie, so like if he did, it wouldn't, again, no stakes. So there's nothing here to make you feel any of the sense of danger, because everybody's going to come out of it fine, and you kind of know that going into it, regardless of any trailers or spoilers you've seen. It's just like, well, yeah, they're not going to do it. And like I said, at one point, when Ian was trying to distract the giga, whatever they call it, whatever the scientific name was, when when he was trying to distract that with the flame, I was like, he's going to sacrifice himself for them. And that's interesting. I didn't think they'd do it. And then they didn't do that. And I was like, well, he's fine then. Because if you're going to kill him, it has to be there. It has to mean something. And that's the place to do it. But they didn't. So whatever. At the end of the day, the movie comes back around to life finds a way. And the only thing that ever screwed any chance of quote unquote life finding a way was humanity, because we kept dicking around with genetic engineering and creating bigger, better, deadlier dinosaurs instead of just letting things take their course. And it was always the humans dicking around with stuff that screwed things up, especially in these later sequels, or the Jurassic World trilogy rather. And that's felt even more starkly here, because the problem isn't even the Giga whatever. I'll just call it Giga, whatever the Giga thing is. The problem isn't necessarily that. The only thing wrong with that is the fact that there are two alphas. And you've got all these scientists on hand. Anybody could have told you. As they point out, the minute they see them, two alphas in an enclosure isn't going to work out very well for you. But that's the only meddling they did there. But the problem is we fucking locusts instead of the dinosaurs, which didn't make a whole lot of sense, because yes, we know they're not eating the biosyn crops, but their CEO guy clearly tells, and again, you can tell just how let down I am by this. I'm forgetting the names of these people. What's the scientist, the guy we've seen since the first one?
God, what the hell is BD Wong's character's name?
Yeah, I don't know. But he's, the CEO tells him, kind of the point of controlling the world's food supply and stuff like that. But then also gives him permission to find a cure to shutting down the locusts, like to killing them. Like that's the whole point behind capturing Blue's baby and the girl, to allow him to do this experiment in the first place. So you created the problem. Now you're going to, I guess maybe it got away from you and you're worried about the repercussions. But if your whole goal was controlling the food supply, then why are you letting him? I don't know. There was parts of it that didn't make sense. And like I said, largely no stakes. I see what they did. They're trying to do the clever, only we ever screwed this up, and life finds a way. We got rid of the scientific meddling shit, and now that we just let the dinosaurs be, life finds a way. And they very clearly make that point without actually saying life finds a way. They make that point in some of those final clips where you see, them running alongside the horses or walking across the Saharan plains or whatever with the elephants, or swimming with the whales and not attacking them, like that sort of stuff. So that's very much there. But if you're going to give me a movie about dinosaurs cooperating with humankind, just fucking give me Dinotopia. Let's get a big budget live action Dinotopia series on the screen then, because I'm all for that. For those of you who remember what Dinotopia is, it just felt like, don't give me it. And maybe that's the true definition of when we say a popcorn flick. Maybe that's the definition of a popcorn flick, a movie with no stakes. And I don't know.
I guess, that's not the worst. It's not the worst definition. There is a certain element of, and this can be interpreted more harshly or not, like a mindlessness to a popcorn flick. And it's something that you're not supposed to think too much about. You're not supposed to spend a whole lot of time delving into why this makes sense, why this doesn't make sense. Dr. Henry Wu was the character that you couldn't think of.
That's right. Also, his heel turn doesn't make much of a sense. And I say heel turn, it doesn't even happen in the movie. It happens somewhere off screen in the time since we saw him, because he is a broken down shell of a man. And then the next time that's the first time we see him in this film, and he has completely changed his tune. But we have what happened? Because he clearly wasn't affected by any of the stuff that happened at Jurassic World. He was ready to get the hell out of there, and damn the consequences, damn everybody else. So why did this heel turn happen?
Face turn. It's a face turn.
That, whatever.
Yeah, because he was a heel. He turned.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume because the consequences have gotten much bigger. That when on the surface, while yes, there was a threat with the dinosaurs, probably because now obviously when the dinosaurs escaped, the threat would always be more of the aquatic and the aquatic and the airborne dinosaurs would be the hardest ones to corral. But and the smaller ones, anything you had that was small that could multiply fast, then it would be a problem. But the bigger ones, you would assume that you probably, if they did escape, you probably could either get them like they did, which basically is the concept of this. The majority of the ones that escaped into the wild were captured and brought to this preserve, basically. That I think is because of the ramifications on the entire world and how fast it was happening. Because these locusts were going to seriously deplete the food source and the food supply around the world fast. And so I think that might have just driven the point home more than anything. Plus again, it's a retcon because they gave this background between Wu and the original, the mother of the girl who now we're supposed to she's not a real she's not an actual clone now. Is that what the deal is? Is she not?
No, she well,
I don't they imply it's kind of like an in vitro thing because with the mother
they imply that that she gave herself the ability to asexually reproduce.
But not the mother though.
Yes.
She gave herself the ability to do that?
That's what I got from that. Now, if anybody out there listening can say otherwise, go for it. But she didn't artificially inseminate herself. She didn't clone herself. Because she was part of the scientific team that worked alongside the science. Well, she was a kid at the time, but she was trained essentially and grew up around those scientists and was a scientist in her own right, had access, we presume, to all those files and stuff like that. I got the notion that she gave herself the ability to asexually reproduce.
Somehow from the dinosaur technology, basically.
Yes, but then they say that she messed with the girl's code so that she wouldn't have the same disease as the mother. Yeah,
that's where it started. That's where it started getting a little convoluted. But they
talk about Blue's baby and how the two are connected in a way. But Blue obviously wasn't artificially inseminated and or cloned. Blue asexually reproduced.
Yeah. So you're probably right about that. Either way, they retcon the fact that because of Wu's relationship with the girl's mother, that's one of the reasons why maybe that kind of not just steered him in the direction of all the positive things that could be born potentially out of understanding the girl's genome, but also maybe softened his view on and made him change his mind on some of the approaches he was having or taking previously, that changing his maybe not his ethics, but just making him reevaluate. But and I don't know about you. I thought the CEO, I thought something was going to come of the fact that he was snacking all the time. But I thought there was going to be something that we were going to find out that it's like there was some reason why he was always eating, like there was something wrong with him, like biologically or genetically. But I guess it was just a nervous habit. He actually reminded me a lot of Tim Robbins' character in Antitrust, the Bill Gates knockoff that he played in that movie. He kind of gave me the vibes of that character
while looking very much like freaking Tim Cook.
Yeah.
That's the current Apple CEO.
Yeah, so it's like kind of like a balancing act, and it'd be even more appropriate that back when Microsoft was the in thing, then Tim Robbins pretty much played the Bill Gates knockoff in Antitrust, and now you're having an Apple knockoff. It's very, very similarly. But yeah, I thought we were going to find out there was something genetically wrong with him too, especially since they mentioned that snacking thing pretty early on with his assistant, the one who helped tip off Malcolm and everything.
Yeah.
But that kind of went nowhere, other than the fact that you knew he was gonna die. That was the standard. Which actually, I guess you could make the case it didn't really apply entirely in the series, because obviously Wu played Frankenstein, and he didn't suffer the consequences that almost always happen when you do, which is that you have to die.
Yeah.
Maybe because he did regret it, and he was trying to use the technology to correct the problem, as opposed to, the corporate overlords above him who still wanted to use it for money and control. Then maybe that's why. But it was an interesting change, and maybe just because they wanted to give this character an arc going, since he goes all the way back to the original movie. But usually when you when you mess with God, whether it's Deep Blue Sea or any movie like that, or a book, you're gonna end up dying, even if you recognize it's a problem and you're actively trying to seek it. That's your punishment for the whole Prometheus stealing fire kind of thing. It's like eventually you're gonna have to pay the price.
Yeah, I also didn't like the fact that we not only didn't progress the story of whatever the hell is going on with InGen, we completely abandoned it.
Yeah, that is true too.
We Biosyn co-opted the scientific team, and they took, like, it's a completely different. It's like, you could make an argument that maybe somehow it's connected in some way, but it's very clearly, on its face at the very least, a completely different company, and there's nothing InGen related here.
Yeah, I think
that was a mystery. Like, granted, it's not why people freaking tuned in to watch Jurassic Park movies and stuff, but like, InGen was a thread. This shady company, that was doing things behind the scenes, like who, from the first movie, who hired him to take the embryos, and then who took some of this, Dr. Wu took some of the science stuff, and when he left Jurassic World and all of this stuff, like, what is going on? The people who took the dinosaurs off the island before, and to cage them up and sell them and stuff, like, what is going on with InGen was a thing in like nearly all of the movies, but now we just straight up abandon that. Because I remember talking about the potential to explore and potentially hopefully solve that mystery in this movie, but not only did we not get any progression, we just completely said nope. Doesn't matter. What?
Yeah, I think, though, still having the original shaving cream can around, that was kind of a nice touch. But I'm not sure it makes sense. Unless it's just a souvenir, you don't think anything in it would be viable after all these years.
I mean, it's on a display stand, so you think it's not just a can of Barbasol. It's got to be the can.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it is the can. The question is whether there's anything in. But doesn't he take it? Doesn't he take it when he's gathering his shit at the end before he buys it?
I don't know. The minute they said they were going to shut down power to everything to get the aerial stuff back up, and he climbed in that pod, I was like, okay, he's dead.
Oh yeah. I thought that he ends up, because I thought we saw it when he gets killed by the spitters down there. I thought we saw it fall out or something.
I'll be honest. For the last hour, maybe even hour and a half of that film, my eyes were floating. I had to pee so bad. But I'm a bigger guy. I'm in the middle of the row. Like I said, guys, it's a bigger theater, so I would have to make, like, in the middle of the action, make, like, not only am I a larger guy, like, wide, I'm also like 6'2", so like. I'm like, I'd have to be edging, excuse me, go to the bathroom, come back, excuse me. Like, I'm just the kind of person who doesn't want to inconvenience someone. So I just kept leaning forward, leaning back, leaning to the side. So I was a little distracted.
Yeah, that's what does suck about sitting in the middle of a row. That's why, given the choice, that's why I like the theaters, the two big theaters at our Regal, because if we given the choice, then we always get the two aisle seats in that row. So with the bar to put your feet up, but you always have the first two seats in. So if you need to go, whichever theater, there are mirror images of each other. So whichever side you're sitting on, the left and the right, you have the same two seats, so you can always just shoot right out and you don't disturb anybody. As opposed to tomorrow night when we go see Lightyear, it's in a crappier, it's in a relatively big theater, but not one of the two biggest. So that means, yes, we're kind of dead set in the middle But as of now, no one else has bought tickets, so hopefully that'll continue for that row.
Yeah,
But
fun fact for those of you playing along at home: as you get older, your ability to hold it gets less and less. I don't mean you're going to piss yourself, although that happens, I suppose, to some people. But I used to be able to hold it for much longer than I currently can. I've noticed as I've gotten older, I have to get up to go to pee more in the middle of the night,
it also, and again, that's not that people care, but it also depends on what you drink and what you eat. True. And you have more. You drink a lot, you certainly have a lot of stuff that has sugar in it. Then yes, that even if it doesn't hit you immediately, sometimes it'll just, like for me. And I think some of it's post having the kidney stones too. I think that might make me susceptible more. Like in the last 10 plus years. But I do know that sometimes sometimes I can have if I have a soda, or maybe like if I'm having dinner and I drink and I have like a couple of glasses of soda during the course of the dinner, it's like I might be fine for like the first hour from the time I sit down. But then once it hits me, then it's like every 20, 30 minutes afterwards for like at least a period of time. So basically I get all the sugar out of me. Then it comes right back. That's what I always hope doesn't happen. When I'm in the movies, because of the fact that just because I think it looks weird if you have to get up like more than once. So it's like, because you don't want to be the topic of someone's conversation. Like, man, that guy got up to pee 3 times. But I don't think I don't think I actually went at all during this movie. I had to go. I think I had to go afterwards. I don't think I went in this one, but you can't help it sometimes, and that's the problem with having long movies. And it does help when you kind of know what's coming, because that way you can, especially if you're going to see something a second time, then it's like, well, I know this is a good time to go.
I didn't mean us to go down the pee tangent.
Yeah, we went down the pee road. Oh God, but that's where this movie took us, because at the end of the day, what can you really do about it? It was a letdown. Yeah, I was just going to say, it was disappointing. Again, even for somebody who was not going in with a great deal of expectation, it's not the worst movie of all time. It does kind of fit in nicely in the series, though, because at the end of the day, you have Jurassic Park and everything else is like sloppy seconds to Jurassic Park. I mean, they're all varying degrees of after that. Jurassic World did at least try to put things back on track, even though, again, it was essentially a remake of Jurassic Park. When you really break it down, it's just that, hey, here's a park that actually got to the stage where you open. But Lost World was an entirely different kind of movie, and mostly based on the Crichton natural sequel. The third movie was horrible. That's what you get for making a movie without a script, without a finished script, and determined to make a dinosaur to replace T-Rex that nobody ever wants to see replaced. But some people, somebody always wants to be the smartest guy in the room, even when you're not. So it's a disappointing end to end in quotes, because we know there'll be another one at some point. But it's an end to this, at least the first 6 movies in the series as a set, because it could have been better, and it didn't deliver on the major theme and what people seemingly were interested in, which is how you're going to deal with dinosaurs in the real world, and what is that going to mean for everyone and everything. And they just kind of give you a kumbaya kind of answer at the end, and it's like, okay, and it's like, hey, all the dinosaurs are going to, they get to stay at the preserve and yada yada, and like, we know that's going to work out well. And it's like, all the ones that are in the wild, they're going to stay in the wild, and we'll have to learn to coexist with them. It's like, well, that sounds good, but
yeah, if you're going to give me that, dinosaurs coexisting with humans, they did that much better a long, long time ago with Dinotopia. So let's go that route. I guess that's that.
That is that.
Quick thing for those of you playing along at home with the merchandise game. 2 things, actually. San Diego Comic-Con is fast coming upon us, and just like every year, the 3 big conventions. We got spring, which is Emerald City. We've got summer, which is San Diego. We got fall, which is New York Comic-Con. Funko usually has exclusives for these events, if not more conventions like WonderCon and stuff like that. But usually those 3. The announcements for the San Diego Comic-Con Funko exclusives have been dropped to people. We've been seeing a lot of those today, this week, everything. They are going to be doing a Larfleeze soda figure. This is the Funko line that comes. They're more cartoonized. They're smaller. They come in. They're solid pieces as opposed to a big head that turns or anything like that. They come in an aluminum can. Larfleeze the regular version will just be him standing there facing you. He's got kind of flame looks coming up around him. The Chase version is a glow in the dark version, but the difference with this one is not only the glow, but instead of his hands being at his side with his palms upturned like with the regular one, the Chase version is him glowing in the dark, but clasping a battery at his chest. So that's cool. We don't yet know what store that'll be shared with, if it's only available online or what. For all we know, that could be only available at the convention or only available on Funko.com, and it could be one of those hard to get ones. We don't know. But it exists. And at the same time, we got some leaks about what's going to be coming up for the fall convention exclusives. There will evidently be, we have yet to see it, but supposedly one of the New York Comic-Con exclusives for Funko will be a regular Funko Pop, not soda, will be a Star Sapphire. It doesn't say Star Sapphire Wonder Woman or Star Sapphire. It's just Star Sapphire. So we don't know what that is yet, but I guess we'll see. So keep an eye out for that. And we don't, again, also with that one, we don't know what is that going to be shared with, like Hot Topic or Box Lunch, or is that also going to be a con or Funko store exclusive? We don't know. So those two things are upcoming. And speaking of Funko Pops, I won't say, I told Mark this, but I won't say it, but I did buy aftermarket on eBay. I bought the rights to one of the Kyle Rayner NFTs, the redeemable NFTs. And before you folks get on me about that, FYI, the redeemable NFT is just that, redeemable. I didn't pay lots of money for an NFT. I paid money for essentially a coupon that grants me the ability to receive, in exchange for this NFT, a physical Funko Pop of Kyle Rayner. There's only going to be 2,050 of those made. Those tend to go, when they're that limited, they go for a lot on the aftermarket. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to flip it, but so expect a YouTube video review of that whenever I get that physical pop. I believe the redemption window opens sometime in early September for those. So there's that.
Yeah, I still would like to get the Eradicator. I just have it's hard for me to justify spending that much money. And there are some of them out there. I mean, there are some that are available that are not.
And Eradicator is going for more than I paid for Kyle, right?
Yeah, but they're probably, on average, they're probably around 200 if you're looking at what's available. There's one being bid on now that's less than that, and there's, hey, we can get a 2-pack for $375. But yeah, I bid on one a while ago, and I can't justify spending that much for a friggin' pop. I just can't. I mean, I almost would rather buy. I mean, if it was a little less money, because it's like $90, I think. If it was like $50, part of me would almost want to roll the dice, just getting like a pack or two, which of course I tried to do, and I got screwed. We never did talk about it. That one day we will. Well, long story short, you can't count on the countdowns, because my countdown was down to 20 something minutes, and it jumped up to like 40, which makes no sense when I'm already in the queue. So what the hell could happen that causes another 20 minutes of time being added? It's not like people should be cutting in front of you in line because you're already in the queue. But I was trying to be able to buy some packs to roll the dice on it, and I didn't get it. I would love it, but again, it's like it's hard to. I mean, it's a friggin' pop. I mean, it was bad enough back in the day justifying, and it worked out, the $40 for the San Diego Comic-Con house. At least, but that's a bigger figure. I mean, but to try to justify spending over $100 on a Funko Pop, I mean, that's hard for me. But
yeah, they're when they're limited print runs, guys, they always end up going for more. For instance, there are two Funkos I'll never get. There's a Freddy Funko, which is Funko's mascot, as Venom, and a Freddy Funko as a White Lantern. Both of those are limited to 24 pieces, and those do not go for less than $1,000. And if you see it for $1,000, it's a deal.
I mean, it's understandable based on the limited run, but it's still nuts to be spending that much on.
Right, exactly. So the idea of a 2000 run, that those regularly hit around $275, $300 or more, even more, depending on the character, I guess, on the aftermarket, but just from print run alone. And I spent less than $200. So it'll only go up in value for what I paid for it. And it's a Lantern thing, and I wanted it. So I just knew that I would see it on the aftermarket for a certain amount of money. And then I go, well, if I could get that for this much instead, this much being the amount I paid for it, then in the future me would consider that a deal. So why not take that deal right now? So
I hear you.
But yeah, I'll get that later on this year, and I'll do a video review. I'll unbox it once and then put it back in the box. So if people want to reach out to us and give us feedback about Dark Crisis, or what they thought about Jurassic World Dominion, or the Denny O'Neil episode, your Top Gun episode, the YouTube videos, any of that stuff, how do they do so?
LanternCast@gmail.com. The website is LanternCast.com. You can follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, #GeoCast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. Please leave us a positive review on all formats and platforms you listen to us on. Last but not least, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail, or a text, 708-LANTERN. And of course, if you're still looking for our Discord, just email us at LanternCast@gmail.com, LanternCast@gmail.com, and we will be more than happy to send you that. And we have feedback, but we'll do that next time.
That's right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.